Parliament convenes for the new year. A suggestion by the Director General of Agriculture for food scarcity. What is the cause for the delay of the Monetary Board report on the central bank bond transaction? Badulla and Mathura High Courts issued death sentence to 10 persons.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Jitendra Gunasena. Let's start off with a look at the local stories in detail. The first sitting of Parliament for 2017 was held today. Tensions flared in the House when MP Dinesh Gunawardena raised questions regarding the Hambantota development project.
Do you accept that as a result of the signing of the framework agreement for the Memorandum of Understanding with the Chinese company China Merchant, the country will lose the Hambantota port? That acquiring and selling this land is harmful to the country, and that providing a further 15,000 acres to this company under this project will deprive the agrarian community of a livelihood, and that it will have a harmful impact on Buddhist places of worship and the environment.
The first investment will be provided to a Sri Lankan. The Sri Lankan will be constructing a cement factory in Hambantota as the first investment under this project. China has promised other investments. Wait, I will tell you the investment coming from China from various companies. A fuel refinery, a liquid gas power plant, a shipyard, another cement factory, and in addition to these talks are underway with American and Arabian companies to build another fuel refinery here. Honourable Speaker, a new situation has arisen. Yesterday the President said if Hambantota does not want it, give it to Polonnaruwa. Don't you want it? The two ministers from Monaragala from the UPFA and the UNP have requested that this be given to Monaragala. Don't you want it? Minister Lakshman Kiriyala says give it to Kandy. SB Dissanayake is saying give it to Noora Elia. So I ask former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and MP Namal Rajapaksa if they do not want this for Hambantota.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමයි නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මන්තුමාගේ හම්බන්තොට මේක එපාද නීති විරුද්ධ නිසා ඒක කිව්වම පිළිතුරු දෙන්න ඕනද එපාද
We have no objection whatsoever if the industries are set up around the airport and the harbour in Mirijavilla and the 15,000 acres is given to other parts. Establish the industries in the lands we have acquired. But go ahead and give it to the people asking for it in Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa. There is no problem.
If the former president will send me a letter saying that an agreement has been signed forcefully with Chinese President Xi, then I will put it to the House and take a decision.
This must be discussed without causing problems. It should be done in a manner which is good for the country. On one hand, I am happy. Industries must come here, and at the same time, our problem is that it must happen without harm being caused to anyone.
In September 2014, an agreement was signed with the China Harbour Company with 35% for the Sri Lankan government and 65% of shares going to the Chinese company for a period of 35 years. That agreement is yet to be submitted in Parliament. Another framework agreement has been signed and that agreement has not been put to Parliament either. Thereby, I request you to submit all these agreements to Parliament before conferring the Hambantota port to the Chinese company.
We had discussions with President Xi. They said they would nominate, and they nominated two companies, China Harbour and China Merchant. They asked us to select one of the two. When we selected China Harbour, they sent a letter asking that everything prior to that be withdrawn.
The people of Hambantota have a reasonable doubt and suspicion that even their villages and lands will be conferred to this company. One minister says that the agreement has been signed and another says it has not been signed. One says that only 15,000 acres is needed. The other says we must prepare to give even 20,000 acres. Such contradictory statements have come from the government. That is why the people took to the streets as it is their right. I even saw a provincial councillor's wife carrying a rock in her hand. She was very strong to be holding such a large rock. We must have a full debate in Parliament on this.
All agreements on the Hambantota report along with the conditions will be submitted to Parliament and a debate will be held. This problem arose because the court order was violated. The court ordered that they cannot assemble and hold processions. It was parliamentarians here that led this effort. People who denigrated the Hambantota harbour, calling it a swimming pool, are now trying to confer an area of 15,000 acres, which is the size of Colombo, to China for them to establish industry as they see fit. I wish to ask our great comrade Veeravansa where he hid his tail when 20 hectares of the Colombo port city were given and when 7 acres was given to Shangri-La on a freehold. You did not say a single word.
32 people who were arrested in connection with the unrest that broke out in Mirijuvilla, Hambantota were produced before the Hambantota Magistrates Court today.
11 of the suspects had been arrested by the Hambantota police, while the other 21 were taken into custody by the Ambalantota police. 31 suspects were remanded until the 16th of this month, while the other suspect, who is underage, was placed in the custody of the Department of Probation and Childcare. 4 DIGs made submissions on behalf of the prosecution. Charges were submitted against the defendants for the offence of damaging public property. We made submissions on behalf of all the suspects and sought bail for them. Considering the submissions made, the learned district judge, the Honourable Manjula Karunaratne, requested that affidavits be obtained to confirm the submissions made. 7 police officers and a civilian who were injured in the unrest are still hospitalised and receiving treatment for their wounds.
The UNP expressed these views today on the unrest which broke out in Hambantota on Saturday.
We must clearly state that the joint cartel had an intention and plan to obstruct this. We also point the finger at the police and ask why they were allowed to come this far when there was a court order against it. It has been said that no private land is being acquired. The former chairman of the Beliyatha Pradesh Sabha, Sri Sumana Singha, is here. This chairman has 34 acres. This is state land which was acquired with the blessings of the Rajapaksas in the recent past. In addition, there is an organization called the Carlton Friends Society. 53 members of this Carlton Friends Society were given lands. We have the information and we will reveal it all in the near future, including their names and where they come from. State property has been acquired by various persons using cunning strategies in the recent past, and their lands will be taken away under this project.
President Maithripala Sirisena highlighted today the importance of adapting agriculture in Sri Lanka to changes in the climate and in the weather.
The green assessment system and guidelines for buildings being constructed by state institutions in Sri Lanka was unveiled today under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena. Ministers and MPs and several intellectuals were present for the launch. When you consider our country today, you are aware that we will be facing a severe drought. I do not need to explain to you how this drought will increase poverty, create economic hardships and slow economic growth. But given the current situation in our country, as a nation that has been established with a foundation in agriculture and as a country with a major agricultural economy, we must immediately change our cultivation timetables and practices in line with the changes or transformations we are seeing in the weather patterns and in the climate. We must overcome these challenges. This is a time where we must consider all these factors. That is why we are launching this green building program for state institutions today. The President also turned his attention to the attire of public officials. On the 31st of December last year, when I attended an annual Pirit chanting ceremony, I saw the divisional secretary wearing a tie and listening to Pirit at 11 in the night. I asked him whether a tie is required since it is a Pirit ceremony. I believe that regardless of whether it was a Pirit ceremony or not, he must be affected by the same circular. Since it was a circular issued by a president, it can only be changed by a president. So today, I am making a clear declaration. It is all right if our public officials wear a tie and a coat when it is required, but given the climate and the weather conditions, they can decide whether or not they need to wear a tie and coat.
A special puja ceremony was held at the Shakya Malik here opposite the premises of the head office of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited this morning under the auspices of the Chief Prelate of the Amarapura Sangha Council, the Most Venerable Daul Danayanisara Thera.
This meritorious deed saw the participation of the staff of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited. The Chief Prelate of the Amarapura Sangha Council, Agga Mahapandita, Rajakiya Pandita, the Most Venerable Dr. Daul Danayanisara Thera, also delivered a special sermon at the ceremony.
I am not strong enough to deliver a lengthy sermon. I am 102 years old now and do not have the strength to speak for long. First, I must express my gratitude for being given the opportunity to witness with my eyes and worship a statue of the Lord Buddha sculpted in the tradition of Taxila and Gandhara. This has made me immensely happy. When the Sirasa institution makes a declaration, the wavelengths spread across the world. Our words spread on the same wavelengths and our thoughts expand on these wavelengths too. Thereby the blessings offered with kindness and compassion will spread with these words across the world. I am happy that the blessings that will thus spread across the world will also impact you and allow you to succeed in all your endeavors.
What happened to the Monetary Board report on the controversial central bank bond issue? Former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. W.A. Wijewardena, expressed his views in this regard on the Newsline program on TV1 this morning.
You may recall for us that there was a press notice issued by the central bank,
Yes.
announcing that they had considered the on-site examination report that had been prepared by the staff of the central bank, and they were concerned about the disparity, the remarkable disparity in the operation of the primary dealers,
Yeah.
and they were going to take action.
Yes.
But of course the action taken by the central bank had not been announced so far, but unofficially...
Yes, I was hoping you'd tell me unofficially what...
Yeah, unofficially we have come
What's
to
the
know...
market saying?
Yeah, unofficially what the market says is that there had been lots of restrictions that have been imposed on the particular primary deal by the central bank pending final resolution of the matter.
Right.
The reason for us is that the central bank cannot cancel the license of a primary dealer without going through
There's a
the
procedure.
due procedure.
Yeah.
So I hope that the bank is presently going through that procedure and they might come up with the final resolution in one of these days, and we may be able to hear from the central bank itself.
Why is the report of that monetary board into this matter? Why is it taking so long?
Of course, the report has already been submitted.
It's just
Report has already
agreed
been
or
submitted.
carried.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what-
no, it's not in public domain because
Right.
usually those reports that are submitted to monetary board on the examination of these financial institutions,
Yeah.
including primary dealers, they are not released to public domain because they are considered as sensitive reports containing sensitive information for us. So because of this reason, it's not in public domain and we don't know what it is unless it is, released to the public domain by a whistleblower.
I see.
Of course, one whistleblower has already done it, and
Done
the
it,
central
yes.
bank has said that he has been reported to the CID.
Yeah.
CID was
Do we have
investigating.
any information about that?
Of course, CID may be investigating, but I don't know the final
But we
outcome.
have no knowledge as
No,
to
we have no
whether
knowledge
any
because
central bank has been
unless
arrested or something
unless central bank comes out with the story.
like that. I see.
Yeah, of course, a central bank, a responsible central bank will have to report back to the members of the public the outcome of the CID investigation, whether they have been able to catch the particular whistleblower, because it's a matter for the central bank of Sri Lanka to be, as when we said at the beginning of this program for us,
Yeah.
the accountability.
Indeed.
They are accountable to the members of the public, and if the
Absolutely.
members of the public suspect that the things in the central bank are not happening in the proper way, it's up to the central bank to get its name cleared. When the whistleblower's report was released to the public domain, it actually added value
Indeed.
to the ongoing investigations by the court. And also it created a public opinion in the minds of the people that the central bank had been inactive. Within about 1 month's time, the final report was submitted to Monetary Board, and the Monetary Board has now taken action against the particular primary dealer, and therefore we have to wait for the final action by the country's law enforcement authorities.
Chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, MP Sunil Handunetti, elaborated on the future of the bond issue.
අපි බැඳුම්කර වංචාවට අදාළ
We have proven who the thieves behind the bond scam are and the harm which has been caused to the country through this. Now the government has something to prove. The government has just two factors to prove, either through the Attorney General or through a court procedure. The first thing the government has to prove is that the conclusions of CORP, the Auditor General and the factors which were presented by all party members, including those in the UNP, are wrong. Secondly is to prove wrong that Arjuna Mahendran and his son-in-law's company, Perpetual Treasuries, earned an unusual profit through this.
අයිතු ලාභ ලබාගෙන තියෙන එක ඒ කියන කාරණා නිවැරදි. ওই දෙකෙන් එකයි ඔප්පු ගන්න තියෙන්නේ.
මේකට නායකත්වය ගන්නේ
I define the current administration as a poisonous administration. The leader of this administration is the Prime Minister, and the precedent he is setting is steering the entire government to its own collapse. The company owned by former Central Bank Governor Arjun Mahindran's son-in-law should be banned, as several reports, including the CORP report, has found the money has been illegally earned. I reiterate that we vehemently condemn the manner in which the Prime Minister is shamelessly allowing such a fraud to continue.
මම සඳහන් කරන්න ඕන. අපරාධ නඩු කොමිෂමක් පිහිටුවල්. ඒ අපරාධ
A criminal justice commission is to be established. The commission will take action against the wrongdoers. But action should first be taken against the Prime Minister for being a partner to corruption.
ඇත්ත කතාව තමයි නඩුත් අගමැතිගේ බඩුත් අගමැති. අද ඒකයි වෙලා තියෙන
Joining the Newsline segment today, former Health Minister Tissa Attanayake expressed his views on the central bank bond issue.
Seniors of the UNP say that the 2001 government, which was formed with great difficulty, fell because steps were taken to treat friends and a select group. Former General Secretary, is this true?
There is a truth behind this. It is the same today. Take a look at Arjun Mahindran. When the UNP was going through tough times, where was he? He was not involved in politics. He was imported. Arjun Mahindran was not involved in Sri Lankan politics. Take a look at the bond controversy. This was the biggest fraud in our history. It caused a huge loss. He remains free to this day.
As mentioned in your headlines tonight, 10 persons were sentenced to death today by the Badulla and Mathura High Courts.
5 police officers who were attached to the Kandakatia police and a former civil defence force member were sentenced to death by the Badulla High Court after being found guilty of the 2014 murder of a suspect who was in their custody. The 6 convicts were found guilty of murdering a suspect they had taken into custody during a raid in the Kandakalia area in Badulla in the year 2014. Meanwhile, 4 suspects in the 2005 murder of a father of 2 in Gandhara were found guilty and sentenced to death today by the Mathura High Court. One of the defendants in this case had been acquitted of all charges. The victim was 35 years old when he was murdered in the year 2005.
The National Movement for a Just Society criticised the government for not acting on recommendations of a commission appointed to look into the murder of Valikada prison inmates. Members of the movement and civil society activists were present for the media briefing.
After the government came into power, a commission was appointed to look into the murder of inmates at the Valikada prison. This commission completed the task they were given and have submitted a report to the Justice Minister. Despite this, the Minister has not intervened to implement the recommendations of this report. It would be quite an unpleasant scenario if the very government who appointed this commission is failing to implement its recommendations. There is no difference between Mahinda Rajapaksa's administration and this administration. Quite an unpleasant incident took place inside the premises of the prison on the 9th of November 2012. That was the day 27 inmates were killed. Reports have clearly indicated that these inmates were killed under the guise of an STF and army inspection, allegedly under the directives of Defence Secretary Gotabaya. After these inmates were murdered, we saw the appointment of 4 committees. The Good Governance Government and the Minister of Justice have a responsibility to implement the recommendations of this report. Look at the report and see who has committed this crime.
Everyone who is arrested and sentenced is brought and held here, so these inmates think that they are safe inside these compounds. However, the army comes and kills the inmates. To look into this incident, 4 commissions are appointed, but they are of no use. It is clear that nothing is happening. What we clearly see is that this government is protecting the Rajapaksas, so it is time that the President and the Prime Minister fulfill the promises that were given to the people. We kindly urge that they be fulfilled.
An awareness program on the effects of climate change and local food production was conducted by the Department of Agriculture in Gatambe, Kandy today.
You see the website, I think it's given in the slide.
The event focused on the impact of climate change on biodiversity.
Objective, we have resources for the food.
We have enough harvest of paddy from last year's Maha and Yala seasons to last until the end of February. The harvest of this Maha season is sufficient till the end of June or July, but after that we will be facing a problem with food. It was during times of war that people in Korea and Japan began to eat all types of leaves. Leaves make up a significant portion of the staple food of these two countries. The leaves of the Japanese brinjals can be eaten. The jackleaf can also be eaten. These small leaves can also be eaten. You would normally think that these croton leaves cannot be consumed, but their tender leaves can actually be eaten. Your garden is the best place that can withstand climate change because you can take care of it. We must identify how to grow and consume these types of plants.
මේ කෑම වර්ග කන හැටි කෑම වර්ග හොයාගන්න හැටි වර්ග අඳුනා දෙන්න.
The Ministry of Education has decided to suspend Grade 1 admissions to Royal College Colombo for the new academic year. The Grade 1 admissions were scheduled to take place on Wednesday. When government schools across the island are admitting students to Grade 1, the Grade 1 admissions to Royal College have been suspended due to an inquiry that has been launched. This inquiry has been launched further to complaints received by the Education Ministry last November with regard to alleged irregularities that took place during the selection process of students for Grade 1. This is the first time that Grade 1 admissions to any school in the island has been temporarily suspended. It should be specially noted that this suspension has taken place in one of Sri Lanka's premier boys' schools. The decision by the Education Ministry to ensure that only those who are qualified be admitted to Royal College should be commended. It is the duty of the Education Ministry to ensure that irregularities do not take place in the admission of students to Grade 1 in popular schools in Colombo and other major cities of the country. The Ministry of Education should even take steps to close the door on such misdeeds from taking place even in the 11th hour. Action TV will be keeping a close watch.
Well, that's it for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Jitendra Gunasena.
And I'm Shan Silva. Take care and good night.